So we're here with the very talented Debi Sementelli, who has kindly visited us all the way from Texas in the United States. And she's come down to teach a brief brush lettering workshop today. And we're joined by Louise on the Design Cuts team. My name's Tom. And we have zero experience with this. We've never done this. We've just had a quick go and we're not terribly good. So Debi is hopefully going to show us some basics and we'll see how much we can learn. And hopefully everyone following along at home, we're live streaming this right now, and everyone watching retrospectively can pick up some basic techniques and get their lettering journey off. So without further ado, Debi, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And yes, we're going to touch on a little bit of brush lettering. We can only do so much in 30 minutes, but I think it'll be enough for you to get a sense of how you approach brush lettering. So one of the first things that I want to show you, and where do I need to put this so that everybody can see it?
Wherever there should be fantastic.
Right here? Yeah. Is that the correct way? Because I don't know if everybody's looking at it backwards, but so that is a sheet of samples that I made with the words brush love, because that's what I'm bringing today, bringing the love for the brush. And it's all made with the same brush. And the brush that we're using is a Pentel color brush. It is highly recommended and very easy to work with for beginners, but professional lettering artists love it as well. So you can see you can create a variety of looks depending on what you do with the brush, how you control it, how much pressure you put on it, and how you manipulate it. So we're going to start off by, I'm just going to show you some other examples of how you can get different styles with a brush. You first decide, do you want to try it on an extreme slant? Do you want to try an upright brush? You know, how wide or how narrow? How do you put feeling into the words? And that's all dependent upon you, because everybody has a different approach to what they think of the words generosity or magnificent or soft. So this will be the end result, hopefully, after you've played around with the brush. So to get started, we're going to start with the very basic strokes. And so both of you have some paper and you have a lined sheet behind it, so you can see. Yeah. So this is what we're doing.
Should we hold up our first effort quickly to show this is where we're at with no tuition. So
there we go.
Debi has her work cut out for her today.
Okay. So the very first thing that we're going to do is just a basic stroke. And what you're trying to do is keep the consistent width. So this stroke right here is what I'm going to start you out with. So you can take, let's say, 3 spaces, and you're going to plant the brush down and pull it towards you like that.
I'm really regretting being a left-hander here.
Oh, gosh.
Ultimate smudging.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Some people who are left-handed like go around like this,
okay,
or
get a sort of
they
claw
turn
action
the
going
paper. You can turn the paper.
Does it work if you put paper on top?
To the extreme.
I'll work it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. So now we're just going to continue making some of these strokes. And what you're trying to also pay attention to is the negative space in between the strokes. So this helps to train your eye as far as the design. When you're eventually going to do a word, you want to have that wonderful negative space in there.
See, the fact we're just doing basic lines and yours look considerably better than mine, even at this stage.
But
is that just waiting?
I've been doing this for quite a while.
Okay.
So it's all about the memory and the muscle.
Yeah.
And you absolutely can't expect yourself to be able to accomplish that quickly. But look at the beautiful negative space that you have in between there. So you're doing some really nice work. You as well, Louise. And that's actually a big part of it. You know, a lot of times people just get excited and they're kind of just lettering and they're not paying attention to that. But negative space complements the positive space, and it just makes the design overall much better. So now we're going to go to the next stroke, which is also, we kind of call it a carrot. And you can see it is thicker at the top. And as you go down, this is the tricky part, you're lifting your brush up so that you have the very tip at the bottom. And if you happen to have a Pentel brush at home, practice along. Or if you have a brush marker, you can also use that.
So I'm getting handshakes already, trying to control it.
It's about control, isn't it?
It is about control. And that's why I say it's all about the memory and the muscle. Okay. Right. So you see, you're getting some good thin lines there, which is very difficult.
It really is.
It is. Yeah.
Mine's really inconsistent.
Okay. No,
yours is good.
No, you're doing really well.
You got some good carrots.
I'm telling you.
You're beating my carrots.
You're incredible students. It's really relaxing.
It's quite relaxing.
See,
I was just about to say that. Yeah,
I can do it better when my hand's on the paper.
Oh, now we're going to move on to the next stroke. So this time we're starting out thin, and then we're going into the thicker strokes. So we're starting out very thin, and then we're adding the weight. So as you can see, the tip of my brush is barely touching the paper, and then I put more pressure as it's going down. And as a general rule of thumb, you're always trying to have a movement where the brush is coming in towards your body. And believe me, if I have not picked up a brush in a couple weeks because I've been working on a font, working on the computer, I go through these exercises because it's just, it's continually, getting that information into your hand.
Again, surprisingly hard.
but you are getting that thin to thick. So you're doing much better than you think. Really, very nice. I do workshops all the time, and you're doing very well. I'm not making that up. So next we have this stroke, which is, it's kind of like you're changing up the pressure as you go. So you start out thin and thick and thin and thick and thin. It's like bow tie pasta.
Okay.
Okay. So it's thin and thick and thin and thick and thin and thick. And believe it or not, I do sometimes even say that to myself as I'm reminding myself where I want to put the pressure. How's that coming? Oh, very nice. Very nice. Okay, you're getting the changes, and that's the most important thing. So you're both doing excellent. All right. So now you're ready to tackle.
I feel like Louise is storming this.
We're ready to tackle what I call the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay. So you have a lot of letters, like for instance the letter N, where you're coming up and then going down, or you might have an M, etc. Always on the upstroke, it's always the thin, light pressure. And then as you come around, you're pushing down more and getting more pressure. Coming back around, it's light. So the big control thing is as you're coming around, reducing that width and getting it thin. So right about here is where you're starting to think about that.
Thinning, yeah.
And that's the real important thing. You got to think about, you can't wait till you're down here or else it's too late. So we do a little roller coaster.
So it's thick coming down.
Yes. Thin going up. Put the pressure on to come down, and thin. And thick. And I'm moving this a little. And thin. And thick. Thin and thick.
And do you keep it on there the whole time? You never lift it up?
Right, because you're trying to get a smooth movement.
Okay. Mine's too thick.
This is the harder thing to do because that transition really takes a lot of control.
Yeah, the brush is like buckling under your, so you try and turn it to go down, it sort of folds over and then flicks out. And
right. It does all those things you don't want it to do,
exactly.
Right?
It's got a mind of its own, Debbie.
Yes. You can pick up this brush and you can do 15 minutes a day, and you would be surprised how quickly you will improve your lettering. But it's all about practice. Everything that you can do to practice and do any of these exercises.
Sorry, Debbie, we actually have a question, if I have a second. So Vidit is asking, what did you suggest for those mostly working on computer? He says he missed your hand gesture, and that's his question. Do you do this on a computer? How can they...
Like with a tablet, you mean?
Using a tablet, yes. You can use an iPad with Procreate and the Apple Pencil. And the Apple Pencil has a pressure sensitivity, so you can make very thin lines and very thick lines. And of course, there's any number of brushes that you can purchase online. I don't have anything on the top of my head, but you can purchase brushes to use on the iPad. So now for myself, I started a long time ago with a brush, and there's a feel to the paint and a feel to the ink that I enjoy that you can't reproduce on an iPad. But having said that, an iPad and Procreate are really incredible. What you can do with them is quite incredible.
I think actually Callie, we work with Callie Hegstrom. She released a pack of Procreate brushes, and she's very into hand lettering, and I think they're going to be very good.
That sounds wonderful. Great suggestion.
William is also asking, would this work on a Wacom tablet?
A Wacom tablet? The only problem with a Wacom tablet, you'd have to check to see if they have a very high sensitive pressured pen. I haven't found that I've been able to have as good of a result on a Wacom tablet. So the loops. This is probably one of the most difficult ones to master, and you will find that when I do it, it's not going to be perfect because I haven't practiced this one in a while.
I think we're there, to be honest.
Okay, all right, okay. But
after 5 minutes.
But basically, the same kind of thing. You're trying to keep a consistent space, negative space, in between the strokes. So we're starting again, but this time we're starting up, where here we started down and went up. Now we're starting up and going down, putting that pressure down and coming around. And pressure and coming around. And now this, because I'm doing it very large, I have to kind of move. It's beautiful. So this would be like when you're doing letters like O and Q, and, you know, just kind of making any kind of oval shape. This is the memory that you want to get in the muscle for that. So go ahead, give it a try. Okay. As I say, it's probably the most difficult of all the practice strokes to get.
I have one question.
Yes.
What kind of brush is that?
This is a Pentel color brush. And it has, the barrel has all the ink in it. And you simply press down and it comes down through to the brush itself. So you can take this with you and you don't have to have a bottle of ink, which is really wonderful. Comes in all kinds of colors. And there are refills for the barrel. So, you know, very easy thing to order online. Paper and Ink Arts, John Neal Bookseller, Dick Blick, any of your online places would have it. You can also get these at some of the craft stores, like in the United States, we have Michael's and Hobby Lobby. So they would typically have it there as well. So, very handy.
How's that looking?
Very nice. Very nice. You're surprising me. Wow.
So we promised to create our own font on the back of this 30-minute lesson. We're going to go into direct competition with Debbie and
there we go.
Release, we call it shaky hand or something.
Really shaky hand.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice, thin to thick. And again, you're getting a really good, consistent negative space. So we're going to move on to actually doing some letters.
Okay.
And what I've given them is a ductus, which actually shows the sequence of strokes. And everyone, you'll find all professional lettering artists have a different way that they approach the alphabet. So, for instance, my very good friend Laura Worthington and I will be at Adobe Max in Las Vegas in October, and we teach a brush lettering workshop together. And her ductus is totally different from mine.
Right.
Because she has a different way that she approaches the alphabet, which is why it's wonderful learn from different people, because you get this kind of different perspective. So what I'll have you do, you can do a word, you can do your name, and you can just put this under. So for instance, I'll just do the H. Let's see if we can also still use the if this shows through somewhat, because that's always helpful. Normally I have a light table. Yes, so nothing wrong with tracing, because that's how you, again, get the memory and the muscle. So you can do one of two things. You can choose to do, as I said, now I'm coming up and I'm stopping. You can do the full stroke if that's comfortable for you. Coming down, and I've got to turn this a little bit more. So you're just following the strokes. So you can write whatever word that you would like to write.
So you literally piece it together. Okay.
Yes, so you're going to piece it together. Yeah.
We're live on Facebook.
Nice job, Louise. Nice. I've got such a shaky hand.
Oh, what have I done? I've started my word at the right of the paper. So I won't have room for it.
Well, there you go. You get to do it over again.
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Unless you were just going for doubt.
And again, we're not in the perfect environment. You know, it's so funny. It's harder for me to actually trace than just to do a word. So I'm switching to...
Would you normally advise sitting down for this kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely. When you're sitting down, you want to really, if you can, have your feet kind of firmly on the floor, not crossed, because you're trying to balance your body so that you free up your writing arm from the shoulder and the elbow and the wrist and the fingers, because you always want to have this all available to you, especially if you're doing ovals or something that requires that kind of movement. So
actually very helpful having the tracing.
Yes, it gives you a sense of the spacing. It gives you a sense of the structure of the letter. And it's just overall helpful.
It is.
Every lettering artist will go back sometimes and touch up. So don't think it has to be perfect. You can always go back to it and kind of, spruce it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you have Photoshop. Photoshop is a wonderful...
Every designer's friend.
Yes, every designer's friend.
I think anyone who wants Debbie to do a very cool course with Design Cut should leave a comment just to guilt her into working with us on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. It's, I'm so glad that there is a renewed interest in the lettering arts, and there are so many talented lettering artists in the world, and I happen to, I think, have them all on Facebook, and it can be intimidating to see their work and think, oh, I could never aspire to have that level of skill. But every lettering artist is doing it because they're passionate about it, and the wonderful thing about lettering arts and the brush, to me in particular, but also pen and nib, is that no one can duplicate your hand. It's such a unique thing to each person. And that's one of my favorite things, is bringing that out in people, helping them to discover what their look looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with all kinds of design, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just about bringing the personality into it.
Yes. And that's the difference when people really take the time to learn a craft and learn it well. You can see the difference in the quality of the work. And sometimes you can't actually describe it, but you see it and you know that that's someone who has put in hours, hours upon hours. You have some wonderful lettering artists here in the UK, And
we work with a few of them.
Yes. And I mean, there's just so many all over the world. It's just fascinating to see their work and what influences them. And so, how are we coming on?
I've just done the alphabet.
Okay, that's cool. Do you want to try a word or your name?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay, you're blowing me away.
Look
at that.
No, high five.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
All right, there we go. That's my first word effort. Very original.
Very nice. So now what I would challenge you to do is connect the letters next.
So go back or do it again?
No, do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. So this time, choose this S. And I'm going to challenge you to bring this part of the G up and connect it to the N.
Sorry, we saying go from scratch.
Yes.
The whole word, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So the only difference you're going to make is do the same word down here and bring this E up in to make this type of S. And then connect this all the way into the G.
But the S doesn't join.
Yes, you can do it like this.
Oh yeah.
You can do it. So if you can just go like this.
Yep. Okay.
Or it doesn't have to join, and you can come up and just bring it in like that.
Very cool.
So many choices, but I'm taking you to the next level. Are you ready?
We're going to step it up.
And I love that you're getting the feel of the process, of the concentration, and I call it the zen of the pen. It's really very much like that.
I find it quite relaxing.
Yeah, it's like a meditation.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the day. As I said, working on a font, you're working on the computer a lot, and I take time every day to stop and do some lettering. And in fact, you can watch me on my Twitch channel. It's Twitch TV /Debi Sementelli. And I will resume. I have 3 videos up now. Not the best because I'm still learning. But I'm going to try to do it quite often and just show people just a regular day sharing, the lettering that I'm doing. A lot of times I'm just playing around with the brush. Sometimes I might be working on a project, but I just invite people, especially if you get a brush like this Pentel brush, to just like play along with me, practice with me, get your paper out and just sit there and enjoy the process of lettering.
The concentration is just getting ridiculous. I can't chat anymore. I just want to try and do the best job.
Yeah, it's definitely, it takes you kind of into this micro world,
I'm starting to understand because we work with not only letterers but illustrators, and they talk about just losing track of a whole day and sitting there and already doing this. So the next thing you're going to do is try to do it without using the guide. Oh no! I'm just starting to get confident.
You are though, but you're doing well. And it's just challenge yourself a little bit. And then that can also tell you what you might need to work on. So for some people, I find people with a design background generally have a really great sense of the spacing and the form, keeping the forms consistent.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, you bring that in.
Okay. Shall I stop there?
Yes, go ahead. Okay. Very nice, though.
It's a bit shaky.
Very nice. But you've got a nice, consistent flow. You've got great spacing in between the letters.
I'm trying to turn it better than the first one.
Yeah, but that is the perfect next step for you.
We have new levels of respect for all the font designers who we work with. 100%. I mean, we knew they were talented folk, but
I think that's one of the things that is most surprising to people when they take a workshop is, especially if they watch me demo and they think, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
And you can. It just takes a while to practice.
Yeah, well, it's the same. We talked about this on the podcast recently. The thing of quite often clients saying, oh, I could do that, or my nephew could knock that up in 5 minutes. And it's like, usually not the case.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, I'm going to mix up some paint. And I'm also going to show people other tools that you can use. So this is a brush marker that I picked up recently. And I actually brought the package because I knew I would not remember. Kuretake. And, you know, I don't know what it says other than Kuretake. But this was in the States. You know, I got this at Hobby Lobby. So it's like $4.99, very inexpensive. So if you don't have a Pentel color brush handy, or you've ordered one and it hasn't come yet, you can also just use a brush marker. And there's many, many brush markers. And you might find that a brush marker could be something that is easier to handle because it's just a little firmer and you have less flexibility in the tip. So, you know, sometimes it can be easier. And you can, here's where you get that flow going with your shoulder and your elbow. And then I also have some other, this is a Prismacolor. And again, this is very easy to find this.
Nice.
Same kind of concept. You're just going with the thick and the thin by placing the pressure.
I get really mesmerized watching this now. Just get kind of lost in it.
It's so much fun.
Have you ever done this after a big glass of wine? Does that help?
No.
Loosen it up.
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't think I'd try that. And this is another smaller Pentel marker. You know, again, this is just another tool. It's a smaller one, so you're not getting as much of the thick and the thin. Well, that didn't work out.
I like the contrast though.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Yes, I think right about here, I forgot what I was spelling, and I went to do an H. So that can happen too.
So do you think a good next phase would be doing it without the tracing?
Yes, I did.
And that's where it all falls apart. Oh, you've jumped ahead. Do you want to try it without the tracing, but with lowercase, maybe?
Yes, try that. And I'm going to mix up some paint. So I'll stride a little bit. So I'm now using gouache paint, and I'm introducing the water brush. And you can just Google water brush, and you will find there are several different brands. But the cool thing is, once your Pentel color brush is empty, the barrel's empty, you can put the red little, what
it's
do
like
we call
a cap.
It? Cap. Yeah, it is kind of a ring. You can put that back in here and clean out your brush really well, and you can use it as a water brush. So you can get, oh, sorry, Louise.
That's okay.
So I have like a colored envelope here, and it's really fun to mix up gouache and paint with it. But see, this is where you can get a real kind of start to see some personality in what your, what your hand wants to do. So it's all good. It's all good. So I'm going to add.
Literally, I can feel it. It's like shaking.
So I'm mixing this color. Okay. So So I think you liked the word gregarious.
I did.
Yes,
That's a good word.
We'll do the word gregarious.
I see what you mean, though. The personality starts to come through a lot more when you're not tracing.
Exactly. But it's always good to start out tracing because, you get a better sense of what the hand needs to do. And this is just, gouache is probably my favorite medium to use. Mm-hmm. I love to, I do some painting too, and I love to use it.
What kind of stuff?
I do like to do landscapes, but now I'm kind of experimenting with just abstract using just large brushes. Mm-hmm. And just I just love the strokes themselves. So I'm playing around in my sketchbook right now, and I'm going to move to large canvases. Now, sometimes it's hard to get a consistency. I had put this paint out before, so it dried a little bit on me. So, but you get the idea that you can use this and mix it. I always like to mix gouache with some white because it makes it more opaque when you're using it on a dark background. Mm-hmm. Dark background.
It's a good idea, actually.
Mm-hmm. And I have. I'm going to give you all some envelopes so you can play with that too. But you're going to use the water brushes that I brought because it would take too long to wash out your hair. So,
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Debbie.
Mm-hmm. So we can share this paint, and then I'm going to get some more paint ready for you.
Do you squeeze this like the other ones?
Yes. So what you're going to do, so there's water in here. So you're first going to get it in the brush and do this. And then, right, okay, mix it in the paint.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really good.
All right.
I'm going to have a heart attack now.
A little medal here for Tom. That is, look at that. Look at that. Really?
It's down to a great t-shirt.
I'm telling you.
Oh dear. Seriously, for anyone watching at home, this is something you wouldn't realise. It makes you incredibly warm doing this and trying to hold your concentration. So we're doing it on here now.
Yes. So, and I'm going to mix, that's all right. I'm going to mix some more paint. A lot of times, if I send a little thank you note or something to a friend, I will break out my gouache and a nice dark or high color envelope, like this pink is a really nice color, and just do up a fabulous envelope. Mm-hmm. And Winsor Newton, your brand here, is one of my favorite brands for gouache. But, it's more expensive than some other brands. And so if you're just practicing, it's fine to just use whatever gouache paint. And gouache is a water-based paint, just for anyone who isn't familiar with it. It was used back in the day, before Adobe Illustrator, by illustrators, because you can fill in large areas of color without it streaking and everything. So that's yours.
Thank you very much.
So
again, I'm glad you've called it gouache because we've been on our team. We get brushes, Photoshop brushes for that kind of effect, and we've been calling it gouache, I think. Totally wrong. So
okay,
you set us straight.
Why don't you try? Oh, okay.
I've already got.
Oh, okay.
The turquoise. Is
okay,
that right?
great. Yes, you can
so
push on.
Looks like you're just writing a note to your friend Greg.
Yeah, I have to think about that. How do I spell gregarious? Okay.
Yeah, our friend Ian Barnard was talking about this, where he'd do a lovely bit of hand lettering for Instagram and have a typo.
Yes.
And quite often he'd publish it and won't realise.
Oh, yeah.
And straight away you get a comment. So are we writing anything now?
Anything you want.
Okay. Are we sticking with the original worksheets or trying some of these?
Whatever you want to do. You're really putting a lot of thought into that.
I am, yeah.
It's like, let's see, who can I send this to? Now, I think I'm spelling this right, but truly, I'm not sure.
Oh, I wonder what Louise is writing.
Would it be a new your new name. Are you changing your name?
Yes, I am.
Well, you could try that out.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
The other thing that is really fun to do, and I actually have started one of my last live streams on my Twitch channel, was a small canvas that I made. And I like to do that as a little gift because you can buy these little easels that it sits on. And it's actually an easy project for a beginner to do. And I kind of take you through the steps in my last live stream. I didn't spell this correct at all. It's O-U-S. So there we go.
Yeah. You shouldn't have mentioned it. No one will.
I know. It's terrible. It's a challenge
of the job.
So I'm going to get some more colors going here. So if you want to play more, how are we doing on time?
Yeah, I think we're kind of getting there.
Okay.
I've just realised this is an envelope.
Oh yeah.
And I've done it upside down.
Oh, that's right. I actually brought them just because I love the color and.
There we go.
Fabulous.
So I was somewhat happy with that, and then I realised I've actually done it upside down.
That's what I'm trying to share with people. Just the fun of it.
You
just
can actually
enjoy
have fun with it. Yeah,
yeah, you can. So I'm going to switch just for the purpose of demonstration to one of my brushes. If you want to experiment further, moving from the Pentel brush to, or the markers to Pentel brush, and then the water brush, and you want to get a brush, just generally a round brush is what you want. This is a size 3, but I have smaller brushes too. And once you get past this stage, you'll find this to be very comfortable. And you get a little bit more probably flexibility with a real brush, but the Pentel brush comes so close to mimicking that it's really not that far away from just using a real brush. And as I said, there are many professional lettering artists who use that. So while you're doing that, I'm going to do a little play on an envelope, actually addressing an envelope.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to address an envelope to you to design cuts, okay?
Amazing.
So you can send this to yourself. So the first thing that I'm going to think about is, what do I want it to look like on the envelope itself? Leaving space for the stamp. I kind of like the idea of starting, I don't know if that helps to see, starting here. Now I'm going to mix in, because it's kind of fun to do this, some different styles. And this is really fun. I love to just kind of work with envelopes. And that's not a misspelling. It's one of those funky G's.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's got character.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to add a little bit here. And you can go back, just as I did there, and add little pieces if you want, thicken things up.
This is going to have to go on the wall.
Oh!
Or on someone's desk, nice and prominently.
I hope so. So I'm actually going to bring in some other colors here. That's always fun. And this is where I like to kind of play and think, okay, so the word cuts, you know, where would it look design-wise? Where would it look best? If I know that I'm going to put some numbers in here and maybe some lettering here. So I'm kind of like going to go off to the side here. So you're always thinking about what is your end design that you're trying to accomplish. And I'm going to make these some really nice, juicy, fat letters.
That one really punches out, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Good contrast.
Yeah, and this is where you can play with some color that is similar, but just enough difference so that it helps makes it visible. This is going to be the multicolored project. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Oh, that's a... Okay, here's a little unknown tip. When you are mixing gouache, there's a consistency. The technical name for it that I've given it is bird poop. Okay? You know that? It's not too thick. It's not too thin. Yeah, that's it.
I'll have to check the bonnet of my car in a sec just to confirm that consistency for you.
Yeah. And then I kind of look at things and think, okay, what could be fun? How could I place this in here? I'm kind of like, I've got this nice 4. So let's kind of let that play there. Oh, now I'm sounding like Bob Ross.
We got some mountains on the background. Yeah. Get the palette knife out.
I used to love to watch him.
He's so mesmerizing, isn't he?
Isn't he? It's incredible. I'm so glad he's kind of made a comeback.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's on Netflix at the minute.
Oh, wow.
Have you considered transitioning to the afro?
Gosh.
Just to be part of your brand image?
I'm sorry?
Have you considered transitioning to the afro? Kind of like follow in his footsteps?
Oh, I don't know if I could carry off that look. I don't know. So you can see I'm just doing some very basic block lettering here. And if I did not have the experience that I have, I might draw this out in advance, you know, on some tracing paper, and then put it onto the envelope by, you can take tracing paper and just follow it with pencil on, you know, behind, and then trace over it. And I might do something like that. I think whenever you're doing anything, oh, wouldn't this be kind of fun?
No, nice.
That's a Bob Ross happy little accident. And then, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have this balance over here?
Oh, she's been planning this all along.
Yeah. And then my favorite thing is the big swoop on an R.
That is a big swoop.
Yeah, I just love swoops.
But again, it balances the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
now, since we're just playing with color, let's go ahead and add. So that's all I've memorized. So
for everyone watching, this is our address.
Yes.
So we expect to see lots of stalkers arrive at the office any day now. Nice.
So you would put...
Oh, can we hold that up for the camera?
Oh, yes.
That'd be amazing. Do you want to do the honors, Debbie, or I'll use the long arms?
That's fine.
Awesome.
Okay. So you put some numbers and letters next, right? You're Addleston and then...
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. So here's what I'm looking at. Oh, wow, we've already got this block lettering. Let's come back to some script. So this is a nice place for Addleston to go. So I think I'm going to go like this. And this is a little fun thing to play with. And a little bit more. Oh, you haven't been following along.
Hold on, let me just catch up quickly.
Yeah. So I think the whole time, what makes it fun is just playing around, and it's LE, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
LE.
Okay. So I just realized right here there could be a nice chance to do that. But first, I'm going to add in, because sometimes you might think that it would work, and then it doesn't. And then, wow, what kind of fun thing is this? We've got this line here. Well, let's go up there. So now we've crossed our T, and these are the things that make me giggle. Like when I'm in my studio, I'm like, oh, how cool. I love that.
It's like Ghostbusters. You never want to cross the T's. It's dangerous. Oh, so that acts as the cross. Really.
Yes. Yeah,
nice.
And it's an E on the end, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you definitely have to send something to yourself here.
That would be the most elaborate postcard ever. Wow, the postman.
Okay. Whoops. So you would put UK next, or the
county.
The
county. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's?
Sorry.
Yeah.
That be?
It's always good to know what you need to put
How
next,
not
so
to
that
do
you.
it.
Yeah. How not to do it? Oh.
The speedy
Okay.
lettering for you.
Okay. So
Can you read that?
Surrey.
Yeah. So
Double
SU,
R.
double
Okay.
R,
All right.
UY.
So is it Surrey and then UK, or
No, we
Yeah,
don't put UK
yeah,
normally.
you don't?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. Would you
Oh,
like the
yeah.
If I were
Yeah.
saying
Sorry,
it
and
from-
then the postcode.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Okay, so let's see. So I'm looking at if I put Surrey here and postcode. Yes.
I need to remember our postcode now.
I don't know, actually.
Well, I can leave it so you can put it in yourself.
I wouldn't want to ruin it.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching this.
No.
Aw.
This is going to be framed.
Mm-hmm.
This would look really cool as a vinyl.
Yeah, right.
It would look awesome.
And whenever you have an A sender or D sender, you think, oh, I have a chance to kind of play with it. So I think about it like, what kind of space does that want to occupy?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of get the picture in my head about what I think it should do.
So if we genuinely wanted to put this on our wall as a vinyl or something, would we presumably scan it in, vector trace it, and then just send it off to the printer? That easy?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think.
I'll
be long gone when you're doing that. So
I'm looking at Lizzie on our team, our illustrator guru.
yeah.
Get some live tracing.
It's coming back in for a little.
It looks so cool.
Fill that out. So you get the idea.
Very cool.
Yeah. That
I love it.
It's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just have fun, play with it. Don't be afraid of it. They're ready to go. The next Tom and Louise font, I think, is next week.
No, it's going to be big, folks.
Coming out.
It's going to be a big deal. Nice.
And the wonderful thing that I think is great, no one ever gets hand-lettered mail anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
So I say to people who, they're just taking the class and they've just, started and they're nervous, and say no one is going to be comparing that with anything else.
Exactly.
It's just going to be compared with printed labels.
Keep it old
It's
school.
just so much, so much better.
I want to see a wax seal on that.
Yeah.
A little feather quill.
Oh, yeah. Love that. But anyone would
right?
appreciate it. Anyone would get it and think it's fantastic because no one gets hand-lettered, mail
Especially
anymore.
not like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Debbie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was quite literally an education. I feel like hopefully we progressed a little bit.
You did.
It feels better. And
A+.
Amazing to see you at work. But I love it. We are going to get that on the wall, I promise. I'll send you a picture.
Fabulous.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye-bye.